Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages across all nations, races, and denominations, what is up? The King of Lightning is here today, bringing you guys and gals Toriko chapter 344 and 45 review. Now, if you haven't seen the live reactions to the chapters, then I'll put the two links in the box below. Now, before I get started, I gotta say that seeing substantial flashback when it pertains to Area 6, to me, is very refreshing, and it's a huge weight off our shoulders, because a lot of us, including me, were worried, because it wasn't too long ago where the Toriko fandom was sweating. We were like, shit, goddamn, man, what's going on here? Why is he rushing? I mean, the events that unfolded like 3 chapters, 4 chapters, 5 chapters ago were insane. Like, honestly, some final arc shit. You have God coming to Toriko's location in a few days' time. You have Knocking Master Jiro becoming the Rampaging Beast Jiro, going up against Blue Nitro. You have the Pieces of Acacia against the 8 Kings. You have Midora against Joey. You have Dawn Slime against Neo Demon Acacia itself. At that time, to say that Toriko was ending in like a month or 2 time would not be, like, that could not be proven wrong at that point in time, because you were like, shit, like, yo, this is some end of series shit right now. And on top of that, when Area 6 is seemingly already done, you're like, no! So, now that we're getting substantial flashback, and in chapter 345, more so than anything else, it was the exposition and the world building returning in full. Oh man, that was... whew, man, you can brush your shoulders off, take a nap, and wake up the following day knowing full well that Toriko is sticking around. Like, that was the mindset I had last week. I'm like, yeah, Toriko's here, alright? It's not going away from what I can gather, because I haven't seen any news about it yet. But from what I can gather, Toriko is sticking around for some time. And that makes me all the more happier. Gee, I can't deny it. So, moving on to the chapter, right? So, here's the thing. These chapters are mainly there for the world building, for exposition, for progression of the Area 6 arc. You can't really say overall story progression, because that was already done in like chapter 342 or 43, when, you know, Komatsu would come, like, they're already there, and Dawn Slime broke the moon apart, and he's a now tech Neo Demon. Because we already know that everything winds up panning out okay. And the other guys that were their enemies in Area 6 are now like their allies. But at least we're getting story progression within Area 6 itself. That's very, very important. Because Mitsutoshi is someone that does not skimp on world building. And here he is going back to the roots. World building. Good. First of all, we start off with a very nice map of the giant shell, seeing where all these areas are located: the Soul Hill, the Eternity, the Kitchen of Eternity, the train that goes to the Soul Hill or kitchen area. You have, of course, the stadium area, the coastline area, the residential areas, that kind of stuff, the slums, all this stuff being laid out to you in a very nice, orderly fashion. And then, of course, we have the kitchen area where we follow... well, of course, you have like the whole back channel thing going on. But then we have someone... we have a few characters that are being introduced. One we haven't seen yet, but he's Ika-sama, the judge of the Soul World. He is a Soul Seiya, and he's the reason why in chapter 345, all of these ingredients of Akashi's full course are there. They reside there. But we find out, and it's very important, that these are smaller, or I would say that they're fake, but they're not really fake. Like, they're the same ingredient, but they're just smaller. Like, the the degree of that ingredient is not the same as the original full course. So since air was much smaller, we can say that the same thing applies to, let's say, Muse, Atom, Another, you know, Pear, and so on and so forth. So, and plus, they're not cooking in Kashi's ingredients the Komatsu way. The Komatsu way is 120%, bitches. All right? He goes above and beyond. So, now that Komatsu's there, he's going to, of course, help them with the full course. But the fact of the matter is that this guy, Ika-sama, he is the reason why they have the full course, at least most of it to begin with. Because, listen, to say that they have God, I think is ridiculous. Honestly, if they have God there, no. That to me would be just utter bullshit. So, I'll grant them the other ingredients. Maybe Center too. Maybe Center. Center, I think, is funky. Because if Center's already there, then why the fuck would Gigi say, after we're done getting all the ingredients, we have to go to Area 1 for Center? Why would he do that then? No. So maybe Center, God, hell no. But even still, it's not the same caliber of full course as Akashi has full course. And you have his daughter, or granddaughter, whatever her name is, Meru. She's there. And like the squid chick. And she's, you know, stirring the pot and whatnot. So she's cooking it. And she calls it Earth's full course. So maybe she comes from like another plane of existence. Maybe she comes from like that spirit world area. Because if her father is the judge, then odds are that she probably stays there in like that spirit, in like some back channel world. And so her home would be that back channel spirit world, or like wherever the judge area is. I don't know. And then that's a different plane of existence compared to the actual Earth itself. That's my assumption, but, you know, who knows? But also in chapter 344, I did honestly enjoy the talk about the darkness within the country, where the old man is talking to Komatsu about the darkness, and how Komatsu said, "Yeah, like I've died before in the previous in the previous area, so I'm not scared." And then the old man explains how it's not more so death that you need to be afraid of; it's life. It's how these people are resurrected constantly. Some of them become workers for the rest of their lives, for all eternity, basically, if they're revived over and over and over and over and over again. Some become fertilizer, where they have to, like, where their bodies become nutrients for whatever ingredient is there. And I think that ingredient was referred to as the god meat, which I think is strange, because she calls it, Meru calls it god meat, but first of all, it's not God. There's no way it's God, number one. Number two, the meat dish of Akashi is news, not God. Well, God could be a meat, maybe, but I mean, we're not too sure. Like, no one really knows. So, but we know that the meat dish is news. That's coming up in the next arc, hopefully, with Zebra and Tengu Brunchy. But to say that this is the god meat, specifically, I don't know what's going on there. I'm not too sure about that at all, honestly. So, that's going to work, hopefully, that'll work itself out in the future. But for now, the fact of the matter here is that the darkness in the country, more so, is not death, but it's the possibility of working for all eternity and being under the same system that the Blue Nitro used long ago when it pertains to these people. It's the same system of, I would say, indentured servitude, but honestly, it's more or less like slavery. Like, that's the way it is. And how even folks, when it comes to their spirit and physical condition, those folks that have spiritual bodies or spiritual situations that lead them to be very angry, overly angry, or you know, like dunces or lazy, things that I guess like a mentally handicapped person would go through, would have, those things would force someone to have their soul trade out. However, when it comes to the body, more so than anything else, there are exceptions where they can, you know, be forced to work and do whatever. But those that have body conditions like Chaco, who couldn't taste food well at all, they get killed straight up. They become fertilizer for the full course. And it's Area 6 trying to recreate this whole system of, like, perfect beings, if you would, or beings that are only going to be productive for the purpose of having this full course completed. Because it takes so many years, so many decades, centuries, millennia to complete some of these full course ingredients. And explained in area, and it was explained in chapter 345, air is the shortest one of the causes ingredients to actually cook, to prep. And that takes like decades, maybe even centuries. So Komatsu is their ultimate shortcut. And Komatsu, I don't know if he's going to cook them all, but he's going to cook enough to where they're going to be satisfied. Now, the next thing I'll talk about is, so that was mainly chapter 344 in a nutshell. And, I mean, again, from a story standpoint, I did like it. How it end off with Froze. It's her. I don't see how it could be anybody else. It's Froze, for Christ's sakes. And how you have this whole thing with the country, like how it still maintains the ominous feel over the country's project. Like, we need fertilizer. You have folks that are still tied up and they're walking in some kind of fire. It's just, or it's like some kind of pot being used, and it's very, very, like, just, you know, ominous and just dark and, you know, morbid and whatnot. So, like, it did maintain that. But yeah, you still had Meru, you still have the hype of Ika, the judge of the soul world. And overall, the ending part with Ichiryu is the only massive, like, what the fuck? Oh, what the fuck are they goddamn doing? So, that is, like, the one where I'm like, yeah, nah. Like this nigga ain't feeling this shit. Like, straight up. Straight up, I'm not happy with that at all. It's like getting coal for Christmas. Like Santa said, yo, fuck you! You ain't getting shit this year, boy. So, like it's Uncle Ruckus Santa. So, basically, keep it simple. Chapter 344, I think overall, I don't know. Because I don't want to say that the Ichiryu thing mitigates the entire chapter, but it's not a good part of the chapter, that's for sure. So far, I'll say that it was a good chapter. Okay plus too good. Because the other stuff is a boon. It is truly a boon. But it's that one ending where I'm like, fuck. So, I'm going to say it's okay plus for now. So, when it comes to chapter 345, that chapter, the exposition was fucking phenomenal. Honestly. Because you have Komatsu there talking. First of all, he talks to that one guy about, you know, the full course and how he knows the true way of cooking the full course. And that's very simple, straightforward. But here is where the chapter shines. When you talk about Moon, when you talk about Another, when you talk about the back channel, and granted, I had a big problem with it before, and I still kind of do, honestly. The safe zones, and how the safe zones themselves are also like time distortions in smaller ways, which to me, I'm still like really? Like safe zones? But because I could go back to the story and see where that whole time thing doesn't really apply. But not until you have Union, where you see some genuine like warping space shit going on. So that to me is funky. But then you have the soul itself, Time Zero. I'm like, yo, it's crazy. So what I'm gonna do here is that I'm going to read to you the entire thing from the ground up because I can. And I mean, it's fairly short. So basically, it starts here. Broadly speaking, the safe zones that camping monsters produce are also in the same category. The soul world is an even deeper space than those of the safe zones. The place where Another first arrived on Earth. So what we have here is more reference to this whole notion that some of these ingredients, they came from, they didn't originate on the planet. They came from outside. All right. Again, more hints of space shit going on at Toriko. if there's going to be a Toriko sequel, we're going deep in outer space, straight up. But moving on, and I would fucking love that. But moving on, you could call that the ultimate safe zone. And then we continue. The flavor that flows through all of the gourmet world seas is produced by none other than the fish treasure Another. Another is the fish that has top-class flavor even among Akasia's full course. And seeking that flavor, predators from all over the world began to converge in Area 6. And representing the very zenith of those is one of the 8 kings, Whale King Moon. Moon is a demon, yeah! Moon is a demon that swallows any and everything in its path. The massive gravity that Moon possesses is such that even light cannot escape its pull. So Moon, bona fide black hole, end damn story. It is indeed, and you know, just to back up that claim, it is indeed why the Black Triangle is in a state of constant dark. Long ago, in order to escape Moon, it is said that Another was able to surpass the speed of light, FTL. The place where Another surpassed the speed of light became a distortion in space-time, a special space unable to be perceived by anyone. That place is the entrance to the back channel. Within it is a world where time has seemingly stopped. And the way time slows down while passing through the back channel, when you come out, it feels as though you have warped through space. So, warping space. There we go. And then on top of that, after Yuta chimes in about how how exactly does the back channel that we pass through and the soul gate differ, basically, the time distortion within the back channels is to a much smaller degree compared to the actual soul world itself. And I quote, "Although the flow of time is almost non-existent within the back channel, there exists a world which is called Time Zero. And Time Zero is a world. Time Zero, ladies and gentlemen, is the soul world." I'm getting fucking hyped just reading this shit. Like, I'm like, yo, like it's bonkers. And what I do want to point out, all right, and here's the thing. Apparently, according to what was stated before, and I'm not too sure if it's like the full-blown case. When Another first came to the planet, he created the soul world or some weird shit like that. That I'm not sure about, honestly, the origins of the soul world. But what is sure is that the back channels that Another created by going FTL are the gateways to the soul world. And you can only get there in an energy state. You can only exist there in an energy state. You cannot have a physical body. Therefore, when Moon takes in beings with his black hole ability and they get sent into the soul world, Time Zero, their bodies can no longer reside. Their bodies, maybe their bodies maybe their bodies just vanish or some shit like that. But either way, they can be there. But once you get sent to the soul world, you now exist as an energy being. Literally, Moon is an instant kill. There is no doubt about it. And this pertains to what happened with the Piece of Acacia. The Piece of Acacia touched down and it was gone. It was gone. So Whale King Moon didn't even fight. There was no fight. There was no fight. It was evisceration in 0.00001 second, bro. Gone. And when the Gourmet demons were running amok in chapter 344, when they were getting out of the soul gate, and I don't know what Don Slime did, but he yelled at them and they just vanished. When Don Slime said maybe Whale King Moon ate something funky, is he talking about that Piece of Acacia? Because from a time standpoint, that shouldn't be the case. Because the Piece of Acacia Like, that happened in, like, the future. Well, then again, I'm not too sure, because time that we perceive within the story is different when it pertains to Whale King Moon and Area 6 in general. So I'm not too sure how it actually works. But, like, just keep in mind, when Don Slime says, did Whale King Moon just eat something funky? Keep in mind that he did consume that piece of Acacia. Now, technically, that could have been in the future, but at the same time, since time isn't, like, completely, like, relative, not even close, when it comes to Whale King Moon and another, and the Soul World, and time zero in of itself, there's some funky shit going on there. There is some funky shit. Oh, man. Okay. But overall, I think I'm done, guys. Yeah, I think I'm done. We're over 20 minutes. So, I mean, for me, it's the usual. It's not a big deal. But, that being said, you know, seeing the end of the chapter, seeing Komatsu cut that, like, yeah! You have Oscar like, what the fuck is going on? Well, what's going on? It's Komatsu. Nono's like, yeah! That's my man. Respect Komatsu. Straight up. G status. Love this guy. So, I mean, I used to despise Komatsu because he was like a massive bitch. And he still kind of is. But, he's growing. He's going real fast. And he has a Gurmei Demon 7. Oh, when Komatsu can actually learn to use that Gurmei Demon, it's fucking over. It is done. So, I'm done. Chapter 345, I thought was outstanding. I'm going to give it a great plus. It wasn't fully amazing, but just the exposition, the layout of how the Soul World works, the layout of the history between Another and Whale King Moon, how Another, because it went FTL in these spots are the back channel entrances to Time Zero, and how Whale King Moon sends beings directly to Time Zero. I'm good. So, that chapter, I'm going to give it a great plus. 2 amazing. Yeah, I can do that at least. And I will see you guys and gals later. So, King Lightning, rate the video, comment, subscribe. Peace. Have a nice goddamn day.